we're going to get right on in to Twig. Welcome to Twig, your weekly, geekly, family-friendly news show that tackles everything from today's Apple event to the Helldivers 2 scandal with some video games in between. If you're listening on the podcast version of the show, be sure to give us a good review. Click that like if you're ever on YouTube, or come and listen live on Twitch every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. Hey, look, you could just go find us on Spoofy on Spotify, and that would be great too, because we started a new podcast feed over there, and we have nobody that has migrated practically. So go migrate over there, subscribe, and get your podcast feed over there. It's actually a video too, so maybe you just really enjoy watching it on YouTube, but you can watch it in video form on the Spoofy desktop app. I don't know if it's in the app as well, but I thought that was neat. So we upload the video, and the video actually comes through even in Spotify. So pretty cool stuff, folks. As always, we're going to be starting this one with our what have you been watching, what have you been playing, what have you been reading over the past week, and I am going to let our special level 2 guest start by introducing themselves and answering that question for us as everybody in the chat answers now.
Hey, everybody. It is not I, the goated Mayfly, unfortunately. Sorry to disappoint. But I'm Sneaky. If you haven't seen me around the Discord, or Mike, either one you want to call me is good. Let's see. What have I been watching, playing, and reading? Watching a lot of playoff hockey. It is Stanley Cup time, and that is my favorite time of hockey. So I've been watching that in the background. Also watching a lot of baseball. Weirdly enough, I've not had a ton of time for like nerdy shows, and mostly because I just started technically back to school last week for a new school term, and it's already sucking up every ounce of my time. But playing, I am so close, I think. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty darn close to finishing The Last of Us 2. So I did a huge push through on that last Friday. And I got to say, I'm probably on the 8th ending, I think is where I'm at now in the game. And I got to say, because if Humar was here, I'll have to pick his brain on this at some point. But I'm at the point in the game where you're in California. And I got to say, I was all in on this being one of the best games I've ever played until that moment. And only because it felt like it threw like a whole new ending at me, and I was not prepared to go where it's going. So I'm curious to see what the whole payoff is. So I'm trying to reserve judgment until I get to the bitter end. But yeah, I thought where the game ended before that was perfect. Absolutely a perfect way to end the game. And yeah. So
we'll certainly see what you think by the time you get to the end of that one. It's a wild ride. Yeah. It's definitely like I love The Last of Us. I think they're great games. It's a good series, good story. But yeah, it was controversial for a reason, and it was beyond just the like surface layer controversy. It was a rough game. And the first one was rough too. And it can't really end on a fully happy note, right? And that's just kind of the rules that they play by with that story. So it'll be interesting. I'm curious to hear where you land with that one.
So I'll let everybody know when I get there in the Discord. I had to kind of let everybody know where I landed with that. Reading wise, you ever write a book, you open a book and you're kind of like, I have no idea where I picked this up. So on my Kindle, I have this book called Matterhorn. I believe it's by Christopher Reich, and I have no idea where I got it. I don't know if it was an Amazon, Amazon Reads, like first of the month kind of thing, or what it was. But I've been reading that, and then I also started last night. I finally started our book club pick. So that was actually it was a good intro. So
yeah, I'm enjoying it.
It has pulled me in.
Remembering the title, I feel like the title is impossible to remember. I think it's
Sugar Haiku's got it. A Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. Yes.
There we go. Yeah, it's one of those where it's like it feels like an anime length title there, and it
totally does.
It's a bit much, but I'm enjoying it. I'm the first couple chapters in, and I think it's fun so far, and I'm looking forward to where it is going. I have been watching all of the anime, of course. I'm still catching up on all the new season, and as I've caught up, because I'm watching too many, I've started watching something on my backlog, which is The Little Lies We All Tell, which I at first was like, why did I add this to my backlog? Because I didn't really remember. It must have been a Watch Mojo some kind of top 10 or something, because I have no idea why I added this anime to my list, but it is hilariously weird. The whole premise of the show is that you're, of course, because it's an anime, you're following the lives and times of 4 schoolgirls in Japan. And the trick is that none of them are what they seem to be. And so one of them is literally an alien that crash landed and has the like adorable little like hair ties, but they're actually tentacles. One of them is a ninja who has run away from their ninja school and is trying to be like a normal person because they were supposed to assassinate the principal and then decided not to and instead stuck around. The third girl is a mind reader and knows both of the secrets. So they're trying to keep secrets, but the mind reader doesn't want them to know that she's the mind reader. And then the fourth girl is a crossdresser and happens to be a guy. And the girl that mind reads can only mind read those of the same gender, so cannot read the crossdresser's mind and doesn't know why and doesn't even realize that limit to the power. It's absurd. It's so silly. Every episode is like just ridiculous levels of nonsense that happen constantly, but I'm so into it and it is so funny. I just want more.
It sounds like there's a lot happening there. You know, like I gotta see it.
It's pure chaos. And now I understand, like, because I was looking at it, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to watch this one. Like, it looks like just another like shoujo style, like tropey anime. Maybe this isn't for me, but nope. I totally remember why I added it now. And it was because that premise is too much to pass up. So that was good. I am reading Angry Planet. So going through that one, continuing my way through Autism and Worship. And then I have picked back up and caught back up with Heavenly Delusion already. And that is, I need the mangaka to write faster because I love it so much. And I have been playing nothing but Void Stranger. This game has taken over my life. I'm so ready to be done with it. I'm very close to being done with it, both emotionally and like with what I can do to it. But this game has consumed me and I hate it so much. I'm not sleeping at night because I'm playing it into the wee hours of the morning. I'm waking up and it's the first thing that I think about and I can't stop playing it. I'm getting mad at this game. I'm so irrationally angry at this game and I need it to leave me alone. I need to be done.
Did you find your secret from the other day?
No, I was wrong about the secret. So I did all that work and then I was dead wrong. So that's what I mean by this game is making me pull my hair out because you'll go after, you'll go down some thread and you'll be like, this makes so much sense. And then it'll just not work. It's the worst. And I love it so much. So Void Stranger, I'll post a full, review. It'll probably end up being a nerdy sermon just because I've been so obsessed with it. And that's typically what happens with those. So we'll see where it goes. Looking through some of the chat, we got Trombone, who recently finished The Gospel of Loki, The Near Witch, and The Book of Longings. Played so many hours of Uno and watched a bunch of movies. DGC is watching not much, playing Apollo Justice. Love it so much. And reading the Bible. Sugar Haiku is watching not much, but did do a Star Wars marathon over the weekend. Yeah, I was about to say, you certainly watched quite a lot. If your Discord was anything to say there, you watched plenty. You're playing the Button Bash Brigade game Ugly, which we also have a Let's Play of. We just posted episode 2 this afternoon on our YouTube channel. So I guess yesterday afternoon on our YouTube channel, if you're watching this on YouTube, and reading The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. Let's see. Yeah, DGC says that sounds awesome. All hail King Julian. I want to know what anime you've been watching, because if that sounds like every anime, then I got to know more. It does sound a little bit like, oh gosh, what's the name of it? Assassination Classroom. Like it feels like Assassination Classroom if you watched that anime. It's very, very similar. So it's good stuff. Sugar Haiku says pretty much right where you are in Ugly MPN. Yes, I need to pick it back up again and see if I can make some more progress. But spoiler alert for anybody that hasn't watched the episode yet, we did get to the end of the first boss, and that is interesting. It was a challenge, but then not too challenging when he really got down to it. It's a puzzle game through and through, and so I think they didn't want to make anything too rough. Okay. With that, keep letting us know in the chat what you've been watching, playing, and reading, or your reactions to our news stories that we're about to go through. But we're going to get right on into our first story for tonight, which is, of course, the Apple event that happened today, this morning at Apple's first event of 2024. The main spotlight was on the iPad, signaling major updates and innovations. The event, mainly centered around tablet upgrades before the upcoming WWDC, introduced new models of the iPad Air and iPad Pro, both now available in 2 different sizes. The iPad Air, popular for its its affordability and high performance, now starts at 128 gigabytes of storage and includes an M2 chip, enhancing its appeal as a laptop alternative with improved front-facing camera placement for better usability. On the other hand, the iPad Pro leaps toward a M4 chip, making it the first Apple device to include this powerful processor. This update introduces ray tracing capabilities, which is insane, and a tandem OLED display termed Liquid Ultra Retina, marking a significant advancement in visual display technology. Additionally, the new iPad Pro features an updated camera system and a redesigned Magic Keyboard, further blurring the lines between tablet and laptop functionalities. Pre-orders for the new iPad Pro start at $11.99 for the 11-inch model. For artists, the newly unveiled Apple Pencil Pro, priced at $129, shows enhanced precision and new gesture functionalities, complementing the iPad Pro's advanced features. I'm not an iPad fan. I'm not an Apple fan. Those of you that know me know that. But I do think that the iPad is probably the best Apple thing that is out there. I think that it's their strongest product. I think it's their product that they really do the best. I think the Apple Pencil is exceptional. And especially for those that do digital art, I think it's good. So I'm glad to hear that they're really leaning in hard to that and continuing on with the innovation of it in particular. I don't know. Are you an Apple person, Sneaky?
I only use it because I have to. So not a diehard, not a stan. I do love Apple events because I will say Apple just has this ability to push technology in such an amazing direction. Like, but I will 100% agree with you though that the thing they do best is the iPads. Like, where I know my wife and I are even talking about possibly like not one of these, but upgrading one of our iPads just because like we use it all the time. And like I use it to read on, she uses it to watch movies. We don't do anything artsy on it, but like the stuff that we do on it does it well. And so, you know, I give Apple credit and marks for the things that they do because they do it well. But yeah, not a fan of some of their business practice.
I wound up just staying in my ecosystem, and the Samsung Tab 8 was good. It did exactly what I needed to do. You know, it's comparable at this point because I feel like they've got it figured out. But definitely I remember whenever iPad was the only one that was really doing the tablet game well at all. And they definitely have, they've cornered that market in a lot of ways that now Samsung is like, yeah, we can do this too. And it's fine. And they do a good job and they've done a good job. But there was no doubt in my mind that Apple won at the very beginning with that one. But I do think that as far as digital art is concerned, it continues to be the through line. And I'm curious to know like what it actually does with all of the new leaps and bounds with the chip. I'm disappointed to see the size of it still. The fact that it only goes up to the 128 gig. I feel like with a name like Pro and with an M4 chip, it really is time that we go ahead and crank up that memory. I understand that like, or not the memory, but the storage capacity. I understand that like there's only so much you can do with the size and the shape form and everything, but it's like you're Apple. Like you can figure it out. Figure something out. Make your own thing. Make a new proprietary thing in which you are able to expand out further and have more, storage. I don't know what they're going to take, but it's interesting enough. And I do think that the Apple Pencil is incredibly expensive, but probably worth it for those that will actually use it the best. We did get one of the tablets, the Fires from Amazon for the girls. And oh boy, that is a garbage heap. I'm glad that they have it because they're going to destroy it and that's fine, but I would have returned it. Like if I got a Fire to use a Fire, I did not enjoy that experience even a little bit. I think the UI was the jankiest thing. And maybe that's just Fire kids or whatever, but it was rough. So interesting.
Both my kids had Fires at one point, and it was like, oh, I can't. Nope, can't do it. Can't do it.
Imagine. I guess the good thing about it is that it's a deterrent to keep them off of the tablet because I can't imagine anybody actually enjoying their experience there.
Right.
DGC says, same, so glad that I switched to Android. Never want to go back. Sugar Haiku loves Android and Microsoft. I'm glad we got the stands here. Me too, though I didn't like what Microsoft did today. Yeah, plenty of that. We'll talk about that here in a moment. My Lenovo ThinkPad is the best tablet I ever owned. Now that's interesting. I hear good things about the Lenovo ThinkPad stuff, but I didn't realize they had a tablet. So I guess is that like the keyboard wraps around or something along those forms? I always thought it was a laptop. Yes. Okay. Well, we're going to get into that news story next. So let's go ahead and transition naturally there, Sneaky.
All right. So talking about the studio cuts. So Microsoft has confirmed significant layoffs and the closure of several Bethesda studios, including Arcane Austin and Tango Gameworks, impacting the video game industry profoundly. As part of a broader corporate restructuring to prioritize high-impact projects, the cuts affect the developers behind popular games like Redfall and Hi-Fi Rush. These changes have led to the discontinuation of certain game updates and titles, stirring strong reactions, understatement, from both the gaming community and industry professionals who advocate for better support and recognition of developers during challenging times. This shift comes despite recent successes as the Fallout series, as Microsoft aims to focus on key franchises and upcoming major titles. Yeah, big oof today. And oh my goodness, the commentary coming out from everyone. I know fans are massively upset, especially like one group in particular I didn't even think about at first was the people who bought like the $100 upgraded version of Redfall. Like it was supposed to include season passes, DLC, and they're not going to probably get any of that. And so it's kind of like, what's going to happen with all of that? I mean, they got to figure that out. But yeah, lots of shock and lots of anger around the industry today.
They said, I did see something, I don't know if it was on the article linked in the show notes or not, but they mentioned something about a make good. So presumably there's going to be something with particular attention to Redfall, some kind of make good from Microsoft there, but I don't know what it's going to look like or what it's going to actually be. But no doubt in my mind, like it's weird to promise updates and fixes to a game that people were hyped about that was broken. And then they were like, we're going to fix it, and then not fix it and charge people, right? Like that's, it's a weird precedent and a weird thing to set. I mentioned over in the Discord whenever Hemar Witt posted this one that I was like, this is so baffling. And I think what people are so upset about is we're already fatigued by the constant layoffs and by the constant things that we're seeing from closing of studios. But like Arcane Austin, like they had a flop of a game. Okay, sure. They've also put out some great games. There's not really any logical reason, but there's not been a logical reason behind any of them. But like Tango Gameworks made one of the best games of the year. Like they almost were in the like GOTY list if they weren't in the GOTY list. Like they probably won some GOTYs here and there. And like they were absolutely killing it last year with Hi-Fi Rush. It was such a trending game and such a big deal game and something that really made waves. And so it would be the equivalent. I know that the Baldur's Gate 3 folks moved on, but it would be as if Hasbro or Wizards of the Coast or whoever was like, yeah, we're firing the Baldur's Gate 3 people. Like it doesn't make any sense that they're making this call with that studio in particular.
Yeah.
You just need to wait a year or something. It needs to take more time to make this decision.
Right? Like it's bonkers. Like, how do you take a studio like Tango with the success of Hi-Fi Rush and shut it down? Like, I mean, and the fact is, I don't remember if it was in the Discord or one of the articles, but somebody pointed out, like, even half of like Tango's team was already working on something else. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, Hi-Fi Rush is done; it's in the bag. Like, were they working on Hi-Fi Rush 2? Were they working on a new IP? Like, what were they doing? But to come in, and take this studio and just go squish, right? It's absolutely mind-blowing. And did you see, made a comment. He says, this has me concerned for other studios under Xbox. Well, what's really interesting is in a very similar vein to that, the studio that did Ori and the Blind Forest actually tweeted out and said, this is exactly why we fought to not get bought by EA in the 90s. Or even maybe even past that, but basically just kind of highlighting like they saw, because EA had done something very similar in the 90s. Like they snapped up a lot of studios and just crushed them. And so he pointed out, he said, this is exactly why we fought not to have this happen. And I thought it was interesting, like just hearing some more comments kind of like that coming out. And to be fair, to play devil's advocate a little bit on the other side, I mean, obviously there's a lot here with Phil Spector and his team and not knowing what's going on. Like how much of this is just purely business decision? How much of this is because they're restructuring things for down the road? Like, obviously we're not privy to a lot of these conversations. And so like, I don't know, like for Phil Spector, like how does all of this impact him? Like, does this actually like hurt him, but he's got to like rein it in and realize like I have to be able to do this to run a business? But here's what I wish. I just wish there was a way to be able to do both.
Hmm.
How can you still maintain and be successful, but also do what you're supposed to with your corporate responsibility and take care of your artists?
Yeah, well, it's,
Like,
you know, the email that was leaked by, I don't know if it was leaked or released, but by Matt Booty and talking about this whole situation was, you know, came down to like money and restructuring. But it's like, I don't know how much money it would cost to sustain these, but I'm just going to throw a random number out there. Maybe like $68.7 billion could have gone towards this instead of procuring Activision Blizzard. I don't know. Maybe that could have been a better use of that money rather than buying out this controversial deal that got them accused of monopolizing and doing all this mess and went on for 3 years. I don't know. That seems like a good place for your money to have gone, into these studios that were making hit games and maybe diversifying them and hiring more onto them. Like that's the thing that frustrates me beyond no end, is like we're seeing people that are losing their jobs. We're seeing people that are losing their dreams of these studios that they worked hard to form and these teams that they worked hard to put together. And in the meantime, you know, the team behind the team, the people behind the people that are writing those paychecks are out there making these massive deals that's just shameless. It's just shameless to see this kind of stuff happen. And that's the C-suite. So it's not like we have any control over it. But as a church presence that reaches a lot of nerds, geeks, and gamers, as an act of doing no harm, you know, we disavow this kind of thing. And this prioritization of money over people, and just the continued kind of corruption of the C-suite that has led to people losing their livelihoods. That's the real crisis on our hands.
Yeah. And I mean, this is been going on for like over a year now. Like it feels like, I remember one Twig we were talking about this. It feels like not that long ago, but it's probably longer. But like we were just saying, like, how many more? Like, when is this going to stop? And man, the bleeding is not stopped, and this is rough. And man, I hope all these people, you know, land on their feet or something good happens to them. But you know, be praying for them, wishing them all the best. But yeah, this is tough. This is tough.
Absolutely. So we'll continue to keep our eyes on it and talk about it when we can. This felt like one that was notable enough to definitely bring up because of the fact that it shows the true illogical nature of this thing in the presence of a number one game that still couldn't save a particular studio, and that Microsoft just keeps on scooping them up. So hopefully at the very least, we'll see the end of that kind of studio scooping that keeps happening. But I wouldn't bet my money on it, and I'm not very optimistic about this whole situation. So we'll see how it continues to pan. Speaking of another weird situation, we talk about Crunchyroll pretty often, and Crunchyroll has announced a price increase for its two highest subscription tiers, marking its first rate hike since 2019. Effective immediately for new subscribers and starting in June for current subscribers, the Mega Fan tier will rise from $9.99 to $11.99 per month. The Ultimate Fan tier will increase from $14.99 to $15.99 per month. This change, which will affect subscribers in over 36 countries, is intended to allow Crunchyroll to invest more in acquiring diverse anime content and enhancing subscriber benefits. Alongside the price increase, Crunchyroll has also halved its free trial period from 14 to 7 days. This update follows significant structural changes for the company, including a $1.2 billion merger with Funimation in 2021 and the introduction of a multiple profiles feature. So I'm a Crunchyroll. I wouldn't call myself necessarily a fan, but I'm an active subscriber. I'm interested in their community. I'm curious about them, and I like what they offer by the things that I don't know where else to get anime other than there and High Dive now. So I appreciate what they do and appreciate what they put together. And I'm, you know, at this point, it's like every streaming service keeps increasing prices and offering new lower ad-based tiers and, you know, teaming up with other streaming services to make new cable packages. Like we keep seeing more and more of this. So it's not really shocking. And I'm hopeful that they just use this money well in a way that hopefully impacts my like experience with anime, but I don't know. I don't see what more it can do. I'm like, it's fine. Okay. I probably won't go to the upgraded tiers anyway. I think I'm on the base tier that just allows you not get ads. I don't think I'm on any of the other tiers. So go figure. We'll see where this one continues to go, but this is unsurprising and just fine. And I know you don't watch anime, so you have no take here.
I don't. Yeah, I've got no stake in this one. But but when you look at the overall trend lately, and as you were just saying, like the fact that we're seeing every subscriber service, horning their way into this, oh, you remember this whole entire time you haven't had ads?
Mm-hmm.
Well, here's ads, right. And if you would like to pay for no ad, and it like. Again, it's a business decision, but it feels so smarmy. It's just so tough when companies do this, and you're just like, it just feels like a money grab, people. Like, I get the hope, and that's the hope, right? That they use this money to benefit their subscribers in the end and not their own pocketbooks.
In the meantime, you have Bilibili and Viz, who are releasing entire series of anime for free over on YouTube. So that would be nice, Crunchyroll. Put some of this extra money that you're getting and release some old anime for free on YouTube. That sounds like a good way of using that extra bills. Using those extra money to release some of the more public domain ones for public consumption, and just collect ad dollars from YouTube. And let that be the way that you do it. That would be just fine by me. I don't see that happening, but stranger things have happened. That one could happen somewhere down the line, and I would be just fine with it as well. Okay. With that, we're going to get into another weird twist of events that we've had over the past 5 days.
Oh, buckle up, because this was the wildest thing that happened this weekend, I think. PlayStation has withdrawn the controversial policy requiring Helldivers 2 players on Steam to link their PSN accounts, following intense, and I mean intense, backlash from the gaming community. Initially, the policy was set to enforce PlayStation Network account linking for new players from May 6th and for existing players from May 30th. However, after facing widespread criticism and negative reviews, not only for Helldivers 2, but also affecting other Sony games on Steam, PlayStation decided to cancel the requirement. This decision came after Helldivers 2 faced a significant review bombing on Steam, where it received over 200,000 negative reviews. It was also pulled in 77 countries. Like, this got wild. Johan Pilstadt, the CEO of Arrowhead, admitted his role in the lack of communication regarding the account linking and expressed regret over the decision-making process. PlayStation's response highlights its ongoing efforts to better understand PC gamers' preferences and has pledged to keep their feedback central to future plans. This change not only alleviates current player dissatisfaction, but also refocuses attention on Helldivers 2's success and unique storytelling approach, which has helped it sell around 8 million units since launch. Yeah, wow. This was like whiplash all weekend long, if you happen to follow this story. From Helldivers 2 getting review bombed and then pulled, and in the midst of this, Pilstadt is on Twitter being like, guys, I just want to make games. Like, I'm so sorry. And he probably spent more time on Twitter apologizing than anything else. And then eventually PlayStation announcing that they were going to roll it back after the dissatisfaction. But holy cow. Yeah, this is an interesting back and forth, because Pilstadt, and here's what I'm going to say. And here's why I will back this man 100%. For here on out, he not once didn't he acknowledged his role in this 100%. He even stated on Twitter, hey, I made the decision to not talk about this when we launched the game, and that was my bad. And so, he goes on to a little bit longer to explain why he made that decision or what was happening at the time. But the fact that he owned it. And I stood up and clapped for the man. I was like, you good for you and I know he and his team have just been on it from the very beginning with this game in terms of trying their best to do right by the community. And so I will still back Arrowhead and Pilstadt with whatever they're doing. But oh goodness, what a ride.
It's been a lot. And Tennille pulled up a great point of, if you haven't seen, they did release a cape in honor of it with the Steam review, red bars going down. And so it's pretty ridiculous. The whole process and the whole weirdness of the thing. I think it's strange that it kind of made me aware. I wasn't really privy to the information that like PSN is not available everywhere. And so like that was the big crux of the issue was like people weren't just whining over the fact that like, oh, I got to sign up for a PlayStation Network. Like I don't want them to another email, another password. It wasn't that. It was like, I'm not going to be able to play this game anymore because Steam is available in my country and PSN is not. And so that was the crux of the issue, was that it was truly going to like make players that love this game incapable of playing the game. And so that's news to me. I didn't realize that was a factor. I don't know what that has to do with PlayStation's choices to serve certain countries and not others. I don't know why that might be. And I guess Steam is a little bit more ubiquitous and just kind of serves everybody that has an internet connection, you know, and a PC. I don't know. I don't know what the deal is with the crossover between these two, but it does seem like it's rife for memeing. I'm interested to see where we continue to see memes come out of the fallout as kind of the dust settles from this, but it has been something else to follow. I enjoyed my, 8 hours in Helldivers 2, but people really love it. And this is something that they're passionate about, and it really has united a culture around a game, as I kind of mentioned in our nerdy sermon on the game. Like, it's done an amazing thing of uniting people together. And this was an instance of like, this was a united force going against the big bad, which really feels kind of meta. I'm not going to lie. Like, it feels like they did a mission. I'm just saying, like, it does feel like the 200,000 reviews shows that they really have been indoctrinated into their squads, and they know how to do a big thing.
For sure. And yeah, it is interesting to see. Like, my theory is I just don't think PlayStation understands PC gamers in a very weird way. Like, I feel like there's a huge disconnect now that PlayStation is kind of dipping its toe a little bit more into the PC world, that I think they've been so focused on consoles that I think there's just a lot that they miss about PC gamers. And to me, this seems like a really like huge instance where, it was amazing. I forget who mentioned it earlier in the chat, but somebody said like, Sugar IQ said, when we were talking about the Xbox stuff and the layoffs, said, consumers have more control than they think. And I think this was a moment where you saw consumers go, oh no, and just came in to use Helldiver, guns blazing, and really just, I mean, it's in a way, it's sad that Arrowhead and Helldivers got stuck in the crossfire of this. I mean, they played their part of why this happened, but I mean, really, most of this is probably like some sort of like contractual thing that they had to do with Sony and PlayStation. And so interesting to see people coming together to really shove back on this, and it worked.
Yeah, it's an interesting story and an interesting thing to see, and I guess for democracy and all that. Next up, Viz Media is announcing a new upcoming English release of the Magic the Gathering manga, Destroy All Humans, They Can't Be Regenerated. This is also going to include an exclusive Magic card, I presume just in the first volume. This manga initially released in 2018 and released by Katsura Issei and illustrated by Takumi Yokota, is set in 1998 and revolves around a junior high student, Hajime Kanu, who bonds over Magic the Gathering with his academic rival, Emi Sawatari, at their local card shop. This discovery leads to a budding relationship fueled by their shared passion for the game, providing a narrative contrast to the rivalry seen in Yu-Gi-Oh! Viz Media's decision to license the manga aligns with the growing popularity of MTG, further highlighted by the recent financial success of crossover decks with franchises like Fallout and the anticipated collaborations with Final Fantasy and Marvel. The physical release of the manga is scheduled for fall 2024. This makes me real happy. I love manga. I love Magic. I think this feels like the time. Everybody else has gotten their turn with their own little Magic decks with the Western RPGs and with the Final Fantasies and all this JRPG stuff. And it's like, give the manga fans a chance. And now we got it. So this should be good. I do love a good rom-com as well. So I'm absolutely here for a rom-com, and throw in some cards and some Magic stuff and some Yu-Gi-Oh stuff. I'm absolutely here for it. Plus you get a card. You can't.
I mean, yeah, it's a pretty cool mashup. Like this is going to be fun to see what they do with this.
I'm interested to see if we get it in the Manga Spice Cafe. Will we get the first volume in Manga Spice Cafe? Ooh. That would be the collab of the century. So dude, I'm hopeful.
That'd be awesome.
So we'll see if we end up getting that one. Sugar Haiku might just be biting her tongue, and she's like already got it, and because she just got the box before I did. And
that's true. You haven't opened your box yet.
She's like, yes, we got it. We got the edition like 6 months early, and I'm not telling. So I could honestly see them doing that. We'll see if they're able to get the deal, but I think it makes a lot of sense. But yeah, this was just kind of a fun one to throw in there. With that, let's get into another quick fun story.
Yeah, awesome, fun story. Last story here. Airbnb has launched its Icons line of specialty stays, transforming beloved film and TV settings into immersive experiences for fans. Highlights include the X-Men 97 mansion, converted to replicate Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters in Newcastle, New York, where guests can train in the Danger Room, yes please, experiment in Beast Lab, and more. Similarly, the Up House, and I'm not even going to pronounce that, some town in New Mexico. Abe. It's like a shortened version of Albuquerque, and that's where we're going to go with that. Is built to float 50 feet up in the air, perfectly capturing the film's whimsical aesthetic. If you haven't seen the picture of the Up House, it's pretty dope. It's so cool looking. These stays include X Mansion, available for $97 per guest, and the free Up House follow Airbnb's tradition of creating unique vacation spots like Barbie's Dream House and Shrek's Swamp, enhancing fan engagement with their favorite narratives. This is fun.
It is.
I like when companies kind of embrace the nerddom and are like, well, let's just have fun with this.
Yeah, it feels like a Mr. Beast challenge almost. Like it feels like this is something that a YouTuber would throw together, and Airbnb has just leaned into the meme there. And I think it's great. I want to stay here. I think it'd be super fun. And maybe, Nerd Culture Ministry Summit is happening in a castle this year. Maybe next year it'll happen in the X Mansion. I would.
Right. Somehow we need to make that happen.
We'll see what we can do. Let's see. Wiz Lemur says, my form of Airbnb is their Hip Camp app. Oh man, my thing is okay, which is the exact opposite of this. Cheap tent sites for the win. Yeah, that's definitely a one of the trends that I've seen coming out of the kind of post Airbnb boom, as we see the more like not even cheap necessarily, but just kind of the opposite offers of it, of the typically more humble experience, or even just a little bit less. I don't know the word I'm trying to search for here, but there are a lot of alternatives out there that people can utilize that are pretty neat. So yeah, this is a fun one. I did zoom in a little bit so that everybody could see a little bit of the mansion, and I would love to see more pictures as it gets finished and we get to see more of what's going on. All right, well, that has been all the news stories for this time. So now we are going to get into everybody's favorite segment of the show, Cryptic Critiques. That's right, it's time for Cryptic Critiques. This is where I take a much beloved game and find 1-star reviews and see if our guests can guess what the game is based off of those bad reviews. So, Sneaky, I've got 3 bad reviews for you of a arguably beloved game, and I just realized I don't know if I actually edited, if I needed to edit some of them. Hang on, let me look real quick, make sure everything's good. Yeah, I did. I took all the things away. Okay, we're good. All right, so we're going to go with 3 prompts. Folks, if you're in the chat, don't guess until our guest has had a chance to give their final guess. But if you want to write in the text box and just don't hit send what prompt you guessed, what guess might have been aligned with that prompt, then that's a fun way to play along with us at home. Okay, we're going to get into our first clue, first prompt of the night. Prompt number 1. A book best judged by seeing the gorgeous cover, maybe reading the inside flap, then never digging too deep into the pages contained within. A book best judged by seeing the gorgeous cover, maybe reading the inside flap, then never digging too deep into the pages within. I could think of hundreds of games.
Right. Right. Yeah. Okay. I got nothing. So
got nothing from that one. All right. Prompt number 2. Prompt number 2 is maybe the most controversial boring game of all time. Maybe the most controversial boring game of all time. So far we're definitely leaning into, the 1-star nature of it all. Book best judged by seeing the gorgeous cover, reading the inside flap, never digging deeper, and it might be the most controversial boring game of all time. Any guesses off just those 2, or are you ready for number 3?
Give me number 3.
All right, number 3 is As if the franchise's other baggage weren't bad enough, it's the worst aspects of AAA game design distilled into one unseasoned and flavorless package. As if the franchise's other baggage weren't bad enough, it's the worst aspects of AAA game design distilled into one unseasoned and flavorless package. While you're thinking, we'll go over all
nothing,
three.
But I'm thinking here.
You're thinking, while you're thinking, I'm going to go over all three again. A book best judged by seeing the gorgeous cover, maybe reading the inside flap, then never digging too deep into the pages contained within. Maybe the most controversial, boring game of all time. And as if the franchise's other baggage weren't bad enough, it's the worst aspects of AAA game design distilled into one unseasoned and flavorless package. Trombone says you got your concentration face on. You're thinking.
I do, because wow.
I will say, I think these are some great hints. Maybe the best I've ever done.
They are great. I will give it to you. Like, these are great, but my gut says Helldivers 2, but I'm not 100% sure.
Do you want a hint? A hint is that it came out last year.
Oh, last year.
Just a year old.
Ooh. Oh, dang.
And I know for a fact you've played this game.
Oh, okay. Oh, dang. That makes it even worse, because now I feel like I should know this. All right, what have I played in last year? Where's my stack? What have I played in the last year?
Sneaky has given a guess, so if anybody wants to guess in the chat, I'll open it up. If you think,
throw it out there. Let's see if I can figure it out based on your guess.
I will say this is a game I haven't played. Starfield is a good guess, but not correct.
Oh, that was actually going to be my next guess, was actually Starfield.
Tears of the Kingdom is a good enough guess, but not quite there. Overcooked 2, I really like. That's very fun.
That is a good one. I like that one, actually.
All right, are you ready for the grand reveal?
Give it to me.
All right, the answer is a game that is a book best judged by seeing the gorgeous cover, reading the flap, and never digging too deep. It is the most controversial, boring game of all time. And as if the franchise's other baggage weren't bad enough, it is the worst aspects of AAA game design distilled into one unseasoned and flavorless package. That game, of course, is Hogwarts Legacy, which I agree with all of these reviews. It's so bad.
And
I'm such a hater of this game. I'm such a hater.
I liked this game. I platinumed this game.
I know.
Actually,
I saw it.
No, I didn't. I take that back. I did not platinum it because there was a glitch and I can't get the last trophy.
Love it. Love it. A ringing endorsement. I did. So I looked over on your backlog and saw this one. And so I was like,
oh, brilliant.
You played a lot of this. But yes, this game I've never actually played. I only watched Russ play it, I think, with Crossfire for a while. Maybe, I don't think Cam played it. I think it was just Russ that I watched. And I thought it looked so bad. I don't like AAA games like this at all. It was, the one part I got was like, your main character was in like a village solving a murder. And I was like, this is a child. This is an actual child. Like, this is not okay that you're sending this child out to solve a murder right now. And it looks so uninspired to me. So I couldn't get into it. And I'm like a mid Harry Potter fan at best.
Yeah, I mean, I am by no means. I did enjoy this game. I did put every ounce into completing all the trophies on PlayStation for it. And I knew this game. I remember saying that this game was totally gonna get overlooked in the mass chaos of all the games, because it was the first game that came out that was actually like could be a contender for things down the road. It did. It totally got overshadowed. Yeah. But it's funny. I'm like I'm really reading these. Like, oh man, I can totally see it now.
Yeah, I really thought the book best judged was a great hint. I mean,
I know that's a great one.
It's all good stuff. I was very worried about the controversy behind this one, but the reviews were real mean, and I found the funny ones. There were people that are very upset at this game, and I thought those were probably not as funny as these were in particular.
Yeah,
so,
no, these were great.
Always good. Congratulations. Chats in the clap for playing along.
I do like John Bone's comment though.
Yeah.
But you're okay with the school in Danganronpa?
Look, it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be. there's like a sense of realism to Hogwarts Legacy that makes me uncomfy. That there's like these adults just letting these children do it, whereas Danganronpa is like insane despair. But I digress. Yeah, that's a great comment. All right, with that, we're going to get into our To the Discord segment of the show. All right, so this is To the Discord. This is where you all have submitted news over on our Discord server, !Discord in the chat if you haven't joined already, or discord.gg/checkpointchurch if you might be watching or listening later or after the fact. We're going to go through 3 news stories that were submitted by members of the community that have been chosen for tonight. The first one is by Sugar Haiku. Nintendo has decisively taken down 8,535 GitHub repositories linked to the Switch emulator Yuzu, following a court victory that awarded them $2.4 million in damages from the emulator's creators, Tropic Haze. The enforcement action targeted repositories believed to be distributing Yuzu or its derivatives, with GitHub extending the takedown to the entire network after identifying the broader scope of infringement. This move is part of Nintendo's ongoing efforts to safeguard its intellectual property and curb unauthorized emulation and piracy, demonstrating their strict stance against violations of their technological protections. Unsurprising.
Right.
Nintendo. We've seen this. Nobody's super shocked by Nintendo continuing to Nintendo and do the thing that they're going to do no matter what. I do think it's interesting. This sets a weird precedent for GitHub in particular. Like I feel like we don't often hear about GitHub. I feel like people don't go after it. It's kind of no man's land. It's almost it's not piracy directly because it's a code sharing site, but it does feel like one of those things you don't really talk about. Like it feels like you don't really go after that one because it feels like a sort of no man's land.
Absolutely, yeah. It'll be interesting to see. I don't know if this is gonna ever I wonder if other places will start going after GitHub a little bit.
We'll see. It definitely feels like the game development side of things really loves GitHub. And they love putting their code and their source code and borrowing and doing that kind of collaborative work. I think that the creatives will really revolt if there is too much done against GitHub because they particularly enjoy the space. But we'll see. We'll see where they continue to go with this one. I imagine this will probably be the end of it, but I think I said that with Yuzu going down was going to be the end of it. So I wasn't expecting this one. Didn't have it on my bingo card, but unsurprising nonetheless. All right, into our next one.
All right, this one was submitted by Twyla. Riot Games has integrated the Vanguard anti-cheat system into League of Legends, causing disruption for some players due to its TPM 2.0 requirement. This update, which was part of LOL's, I just love saying LOL because if B Surfer was here, I could feel him cringing. Patch 14.9 released on May 1st, 2024 has led to a VAN 9001 error for players, particularly those on older Windows 11 systems who have previously bypassed the TPM requirement. Despite a detailed explanation provided by Riot on the League of Legends blog, the change has caught many by surprise. The enforcement of TPM 2.0 by Riot, rather than relying on Microsoft's less stringent policies, means that this blows my mind. How many people are playing League of Legends when 0.7 of League of Legends players, which supposedly amounts to 930,000 individuals, are directly affected? Like 99.3% of your people are fine. But like, this is wild. Those without the TPM 2.0 module now face the choice of downgrading to Windows 10 or purchasing new hardware, a significant inconvenience that underscores the broader challenges and dissatisfaction with Windows 11. Additionally, issues with Vanguard causing system boots, failures for those not using a GUID partition table highlight the technical complexities of maintaining game security. Riot maintains that such measures are necessary to ensure fair play, especially in the wake of a significant security breach in early 2023. So right here, perfect reason. I don't really play a lot of PC games because I feel like there are so many things with PC gaming that can go wrong. And so if you're unfamiliar, your TPM, your trusted platform module, is essential for like encrypting things. And in Windows 11, you can actually, like, in essence, for lack of a better way of putting it, you can turn it off or find a way around it. And so it's interesting here that that like they're actually like pushing this and actually forcing it, and for and obviously kind of like we were talking about with Helldivers 2, that like for some players this is literally going to cause you to stop playing the game, because either you've got to completely change your OS or you're going to have to buy a new computer or whatever you're going to do. So it's kind of wild, and interesting that, again, this stat blows my mind. I'm sorry, but 0.7 of 933,000 individuals being affected by that. That's not a small number. So yeah, I'll be real curious to see what they do with this. If they're just going to be like, hey, this is how it is, suck it up. This is the nature of the day we live in with cybersecurity and needing enhanced, security measures, or will they back off? I'll be interested to see what the fallout is from this one.
I'm always amazed to see games like League, or to a lesser extent, a Minecraft, that are able to span decades. Like that just intrigues me, that like a computer, like I'm thinking of my computer from 2009, right? And I'm like, my computer from 2009 and my computer from 2024 are different universes from each other. And so it amazes me that this game that you could play 15 years ago, is still needing the kind of updates, and is still getting the kind of updates, and is also still relatively playable, and is like gotten this whole swath of fan base that we're seeing these kind of issues pop up. Like you can't make a new League because it's the esport, and so it's not like they're going to come out with League 2. But it's fascinating to me as well to see the games that live forever and the impact that they have. Like I think about Minecraft, and the reason I mentioned them is because of their whole Java thing and how you can play on certain things and you can't play on other things, and you got to have a certain way to play this game in this way. And if you don't do it, then you're not going to be able to play with other people. And like it just blows my mind the way that game devs, and especially these like games as service devs, make their games work for generations at a time. It's weird. It's a weird thing. It's amazing to see it, but yeah, we'll see what this one continues to do and the fallout that we continue to see, and if they have a backtrack much along the lines of Helldivers, as you said. All right,
it'd be wild, real quick, it'd be wild if B Surfer had this problem. Like if he was one of the 0.7, like I probably not, but it would be really interesting if he was, to hear his take on it. Like what would he say if it was him?
Literally one in a million. That'd be amazing. All right, next up, this one was submitted by DJC, who is in the chat as well. Supergiant Games, surprise, released Hades 2 in early access today for PC via Steam and the Epic Game Store, with the expectation this period will last until at least the end of 2024. Priced at $30, this game may see a price increase based on the early access duration and the addition of new features. During this phase, the developers plan to roll out significant updates every few months, with the first slated for later this year. In its early access version, Hades 2 already offers a wealth of environments, enemies, and voice characters, surpassing the content of the original Hades. However, the game remains a work in progress, and players may encounter limitations in available content. Updates will introduce new characters, foes, story events, and more, refining user interfaces and visuals. In GameSpot's technical test preview, Hades 2 was noted for its impressive expansion on the original's success, showcasing a promising future for the full game. I have already bought it and might be playing it after this stream, whether that is in a room or whether that's here on stream, because I'm excited for it. I really enjoyed Hades, and I have no problem playing early access. Like, if I'm being real with myself, I'm going to play probably 10 hours of this game, and that's probably going to be the end of it. I didn't beat Hades 1. I watched somebody beat the end of Hades 1 because it's a great game, but it's not one that I'm going to get good at, if that makes sense. Like, it's not one that I'm going to put in the hours to get to the end of, because it's pretty ARPG. Like, it is a roguelike, so you can get better with each playthrough and you can get further and that kind of thing, but it's not one that I'm going to put in the time to actually get done with. So I'm just going to have fun with it.
Yeah, this is a game I feel like I epically missed out on. Like, I was hearing the Hades love for a long time, and it was always on my list of games to play, and then I just never was able to jump in and play it. So I'll be curious if I will just do a let's play of Hades 1, and just watch somebody play it so I get the general gist of what the game is all about, and then enjoy watching other people play Hades 2? Or will it be something that I will jump into myself at some point? It's not a game that I tend to enjoy playing. So, but from so many people have raved about this game, I feel like not giving it a shot and seeing what it's all about would be a letdown. So,
It's
I'll,
definitely
I'll
one to
dip my
play.
toe in there.
Definitely one to play. I mean, I would say that it's worth dipping your toes in and at least experiencing it, even if you nope out of it pretty quickly. I do think that the best time to play it was probably whenever it's on Game Pass, and then you could play it, ostensibly for free if you're a subscriber. The $25 price tag is not anything too insane, but it is definitely like, going to be a stalemate for some folks that haven't experienced that first game but want to experience the second game. I imagine the second game is going to be the same as the first with better everything. So you can probably just skip straight to it, to be honest.
Yeah.
But it is a really compelling experience, and it's one that is very fun and interesting to play, especially if you like that style of roguelike experience. If you're somebody that gets frustrated with dying a lot in a game, then that's not for you. But if you're fine with dying, it's a good old time, and the characters are great, and the full voice acting is nothing to shake a stick at. So it's good stuff. Looking in the chat a little bit. Go ahead.
Yeah. I was gonna say, aren't we all fine with dying after playing Elden Ring for a year? Like, we're okay with that now?
Right. Yeah, we're just get prepped for DLC. Speaking of, so that was what was interesting about this one for me, was all of my indie people that I follow on Twitter have been shaking in their boots because they have like releases lined up. They've been planning, like Another Crab's Treasure is one that comes immediately to mind. And they're like, we're planning this release. Please don't let Hades 2 Shadow drop. And like, Another Crab's Treasure came out last week. Like they were this close. It makes me think that somebody at Supergiant was like, I saw your tweet. We'll hold off a week. It's fine. Like, we'll give people a little bit of time to get your memes and to hear some of your songs, because they have been like, my indie people have been so terrified of this game because it was such a sweeper and just did such work the year that it came out. And so they were like, our indie games, our little, games that we're trying to get out there and that we've marketed for the past 3 years on TikTok is not going to get any attention because of a random shadow drop that Supergiant does on a whim. And I'm sure that they're probably not wrong. I imagine if it had happened on the same day, Another Crab's Treasure wouldn't have gotten the attention that it actually has gotten. And I will say Another Crab's Treasure is doing just fine because it's on Game Pass. And so that's going to always get it the bump in the indie scene that it might need. So fun stuff with that one. But I was also considering playing Another Crab's Treasure, and then Hades 2 dropped and I bought it right away. So clearly, case in point, like I'm going to fall for it every time. Yeah. All right. Into our next segment and my personal favorite of the show.
At this point in nerd history.
Last comment there from Sugar Haiku. I am sure it will come to Switch. It will probably not be until the full game releases, but I would be amazed if it didn't. I think that is an almost for certain thing, and I would imagine it'll be a day one release when they go out of early access, because I feel like Hades 1 took some time, but it gained inertia pretty quick and probably only took a couple months to come to Switch if I had to take a shot in the dark. Okay. This is at this point in nerd history, everything that came out on this exact day of May 7th throughout time and space, some games and movies and some random fun facts there. Some games that came out, 2021, RE Village, Resident Evil Village, does not feel like it came out 3 years ago. It feels like it came out much more recently. That's kind of mind-boggling. And this one may mean nothing to anyone but me, but if you enjoyed the Dumb Ways to Die video on YouTube, the mobile game came out in 2013 and it was just fine. All right, let's go over to movies with Sneaky.
All right, movies. In 2010, you had Iron Man 2. In 2004, you had Van Helsing. And the best movie of all time. Of all time, if you've never watched it, drop everything you are doing. Do not rest until you have watched the glorious, the amazing 1999 Mummy with Brendan Fraser.
It's a good one. The scene that lives rent-free in my mind is the scarab under the skin. I'll never stop thinking of it. It's one that is just like, it's in there. It's embedded.
Oh yeah, like my friends and I have tons of random movie quotes from this movie. So funny story, when this movie came out, I went with a friend to see it in the afternoon, the day it released. Loved it so much, we called 4 other people and talked them into going back that night. They loved it so much, they each called multiple people, and we went back for a third time to go watch it like at 11 o'clock at night. So I saw this movie 3 times on opening night. They got my money.
You had an MLM. Oh my goodness. You created an MLM to go see them.
Right. Right. Oh, this movie, I will dare say, might be my #1 favorite movie. Like,
it's definitely a good one. And it's a classic, and it's an iconic one, I would say. I would say that it's probably the one that has cemented Brendan Fraser in most people's minds. There are certainly other movies that he's been in, and they're also very well beloved, but this is like the one that you think of when
this is the one. Yes, for sure.
So definitely good stuff there. Sugar Haiku echoes your sentiments there. Tennille is right there with me with that scarab scene. Haunting, truly haunting. Welcome in, Gobi Church. Last one, a random fun fact. On May 7th in 1946, the Tokyo Telecommunications Engineering Corp was founded. You may be like, why are we mentioning that? Well, the company was later renamed as Sony. So 1946 was whenever Sony was originally founded, known as the Tokyo Telecommunications Engineering Corp. I will say Sony definitely rolls off the tongue quite a bit better. So good stuff there. Yes, it looks like Trombone is one that definitely enjoyed the Dumb Ways to Die game on the iPad, and they were fine. They were fine games. They were nice little brain bending, just something to distract on the screen. A fidget toy, really, at the end of the day. So good enough. I did see they're coming out with a survival game. Maybe. I can't remember what exactly they're doing, but it's a new Dumb Ways to Die game, and I don't know if it's a survival as in like Vampire Survivors or if it's a survival as in Dead by Daylight. I don't know, but some kind of game involving the fine fellas. So it's good stuff. iPod Touch, thank you very much. Got you. Understood. All right. Well, that has been at this point in nerd history. Let us know if any of those got your attention. I did think all 3 of those movies were pretty interesting in and of themselves. Iron Man 2 is not super beloved, but Van Helsing was a big cult classic there.
Yeah, absolutely.
The Mummy also was quite the icon. So good stuff. All right. With that, we're going to get into our next and penultimate segment of the show. It is time for upcoming releases. So Sneaky and I are going to share some things that we are excited about that are coming out in the next week or so of things that are happening in the near future. Sneaky, why don't you take it away with your
All right, not much, because quite frankly, school again has enveloped my life, and so anything on my radar is like way off at this point. So a couple of things we're looking forward to, but probably my #1, new season of Doctor Who starts on Friday, and it's been a while since I've been really excited about Doctor Who, and so I am looking forward to it. I am looking forward to the fact that I can keep up on it because it'll be on Disney Plus, and that feels good. So that's a pretty big get by Disney, really, and the fact that they're able to secure it and keep it going. I'm a big fan of the new Doctor, and really enjoyed Sex Education, which is a show I don't recommend to everyone, but I really enjoyed his role in that show in particular. Definitely one of my favorite characters in it, and a really great actor that I've enjoyed following for the past little while. So I'm excited to see what he does with this role and with the role of the Doctor. I'm not the biggest Doctor Who fan. I'm not going to pretend to be. I know very little. I've seen a couple episodes, but this is definitely something that has me curious, to say the least, about whether or not this will be what it takes to get me back into the story a little bit. My first one is also probably my one that I'm most excited about. For those of you that are fans of the video game Donkey on YouTube, you may remember about 2 years ago or so at this point, maybe not quite that long, but he announced that he was starting his own video game development publisher company called Big Mode. And Big Mode's first game is the indie game Animal Well. And that is finally coming out this week. It is a Metroidvania game. I don't think it's roguelike. I think it's just a pure Metroidvania. And I am super excited. I really hope that if Donkey himself does not meme on his own game, I hope that someone does a Donkey review on his game and just gives him a hard time about it, because it does feel appropriate. Definitely one that I'll be playing. I'm a big fan of Metroidvanias, and I think this game looks super interesting and creative, and I will definitely be playing it and bumping it up pretty high up my list as much as I can. All right, on to your next one, Sneaky. My next one. So this is one that it released a few days ago during Star Wars weekend and May the 4th. And so I did not catch it. I was actually hoping to watch it that day. Instead, school. I spent 10 hours on Saturday doing nothing but homework. But the Star Wars released Tales of the Empire, and if you didn't get to watch Tales of the Jedi, it was pretty well done. And so this one with Tales of the Empire, just the flip side of that. So really excited to dive into that. Hopefully sometime this week and catch an episode here or there. If not, trying to catch it over the weekend. So, but yeah, I'm really excited. I'm really excited about that. It was good to see that they dropped that.
My next one is a interesting other little indie game. I feel like I've become that indie gamer. I just keep talking about indie games, but I love them so much. There's one coming out called Crypt Master, which is a like Mavis Bacon style typing game mixed in with a horror game. I am so curious about what they actually do with it and how it goes, but it looks interesting. I'm a fan of random throwbacks to childhood games being twisted in a creepy way. And so I don't know if it's actually scary or if it's just kind of like pseudo haha scary. I don't know. But Crypt Master is one that is on my docket as well, just because I think that it's fun to throw typing into a horror style video game.
All right, so my number 3 is more of a reminder for everybody because I just thought about this, that Sunday is Mother's Day. So for those of you listening to on Spoofy, this might be a little late for you, but for those of you in chat, please don't forget to honor your mother in some way. And for those of you who have lost your mom recently or don't have a great relationship with your mother, try to spend that day as best as you can.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. And yeah, that's obviously not number 3 on Sneaky's list or my list, but both it's number 1. You know, of course, it's the most important thing as those of us that are married to mothers. It was the first thing on my mind, of course, and definitely top of mind and the first thing I thought of. And I'm thinking of it every day, really. Even when it's not Mother's Day, first thing I think of course, is my wife that is a mother. Definitely every time, all the times. And I'm not sarcastic at all here. Next up, my third one is a new DLC that's coming up for Vampire Survivors. I'm a big fan of Vampire Survivors. I'm not a huge fan of Contra, but it is very interesting to see that Contra is coming to Vampire Survivors in a new DLC called Operation Guns. So that's fun stuff. And I'm curious to see how it actually does. I get into Vampire Survivors every single time they do a DLC. I am a sucker for this game, and I love it so much. And even though I'm mid on Contra, I'm gonna play this, and it's gonna be a lot of fun, and I love it.
How did Vampire Survivors do this?
Oh, I don't know
how do they keep pulling great DLC?
It really makes no sense.
If you had told me weeks ago that Vampire Survivors was getting Contra, that might have been my number 3 because that's ridiculous. How do they keep doing this?
The gall to call it Operation Guns. They don't have Contra in the title. Like they've gotten one of the iconic franchises of the early video game era, and they called the DLC Operation Guns. Like it's ridiculous, but it's so fun, and I can't wait to see what they do next. They never cease to amaze me. I remember when the Among Us DLC happened, and that was a ton of fun, and this will be one that I'll definitely be picking up as well. Good stuff. All right, well, let us know in the chat if any of those got your attention, or if there was anything that you wanted to share right alongside that is coming out in the next week, something you've been looking forward to as well. With that, we're going to get into our final segment of the show. It's time for our meme of the week. Our meme of the week this week is Sugar Haiku's Charlie Day meme here. How I think I look talking about Jesus versus how I actually look. We've got a nice serene coffee date over on the left, and then Charlie Day connecting the dots in the right one. A great meme, very fun times. Thanks to Sugar Haiku for dropping that one.
This one lived rent-free in my head all week, only because the fact that they used a coffee shop is perfect, because how many people, especially Christians, take pictures of reading their Bible in coffee shops?
Oh, 100%.
And I thought, I don't know if that picture was chosen on purpose or just because it looked good, but man, if that much thought was put into the meme to use that as the coffee shop, that fantastic.
It's great.
Fantastic.
It's a good one. Great meme. And if you would like to be considered for our meme of the week, then simply use our memes and goof section of our Discord. Again, that's !Discord in the chat, or discord.gg/checkpointchurch, and submit your memes every week. The ones that get the most reactions are typically the ones that end up being our meme of the week, unless I have one that I like better because this is my show and I put together the show notes. So there. And that is our meme of the week segment. With that, we're going to get into the close of the show. So before we do our wrap up here, is there anything that you would like to shout out, Sneaky, as our guest? Anywhere you want people to find you, or things that you're excited about, whatever it may be?
Hey, you can find me in the Checkpoint Church Discord. I live there. It's my favorite place to be. And that is no joke. It is up at work on my computer, so that way when I have a moment to breathe at work, I jump over and I see what's happening and can follow along with it and get really upset when nobody's posted in a while. But yeah, come to our Discord. It is a fantastic place to be, full of amazing, awesome people. And so yeah.
Good stuff. This, folks, has been Twig, your weekly, geekly, family-friendly news show delivered live on twitch.tv/checkpointchurch each and every week, keeping your family connected to the world of nerdy news. If you watched this far, you likely enjoyed this one, so remember to give us a 5-star on your podcast app. Click that like button and recommend the show to all of your favorite nerds. Folks, I want to give a special shout out and thanks to our subscribers who help make this show possible with their generous subscriptions. We have HMan1009, Tina Christina P, Yakeem4752, Trombone Dalek, Maybe 30 Bats, X Mayfly, Zando Calrissian, Twilight27, Nerd Pastor Nate, Sugar Haiku, Elias Raven, Sis Pineapple, Mindful Marlena, Strange Dun, Splash Force Gaming 2, Wise and Lemur, Kung Fu Carl 21, S Blackthorn, Perspective, Pineapple Pope 4, Jate Live, Gobi Church, Weesh, Deacon Shannon LS, Sneaky Pig 633, and Coyote 42. Is there going to be Twig next week? Yes, there will be Twig next week. We should be back into a normal flow of things for a while. I don't think I have a vacation coming up anytime soon. And with that, we're going to wrap this one up and go head over into a voice chat over on Discord immediately following the show. So, hey, if you're watching live, you can come over with us. If you're watching the recorded VOD after the fact, these are the cool things that happen when you show up to the live. You get to go hang out in the Discord after. What could be more fun? With that, we're going to close this show with our 3 things that we believe to be true about every single one of you out there, whether you believe in God, don't believe in God, go to church, don't go to church, hate God, hate church. We still believe these 3 things to be true about each and every one of you. Number 1, that God loves you, like really, really loves you. Number 2, we love you. We want community with you. That's why we're doing this. And number 3, that you, yes, you matter. You're a person of sacred worth. The world's a better place. Why? Because you are in it. Folks, with that, and until the next time that I see you, whether it be over in our Discord right now for our voice chat, whether it be for another stream this week, whether it be the same time, same place for Twig next week, I look forward to seeing you then. Till next time, bye-bye!